I have a question.
Mrs. Bull?
Yeah, I really appreciate that we have the mission of our district on the back of our name tags. Right now, I'm going to read it. To provide a quality education and a caring atmosphere for students to attain the necessary skills and knowledge to become lifelong learners and contribute to a diverse, interdependent, and changing world. I mean, this is vital work. We agreed on this as a board and a district within the past few years, and I am fully in support of this appointment and really excited to work with Mrs. Prasher going forward. And I appreciate her coming forward and putting herself out here as a candidate.
If you don't mind, since we've pulled this anyway, I wouldn't mind reading the recommendation.
That'd be awesome.
Just so the audience can hear it. We're recommending for approval the appointment of Ann Prasher to lead district DEI work as a Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Ann is a current counselor at Ruther Middle School and will remain in that role until a replacement can be secured. She has been with RCS over 20 years, the bulk of that time in the role of counselor, and has served on numerous committees during her time in RCS, including on the District Equity Committee, and is a building cultural proficiency trainer. Ann holds a BA and a Bachelor of Education degree from York University in Toronto, Canada, a Master's in Education School Counseling from Wayne State University, and an Ed Specialist degree in Organizational Leadership from Oakland University. We're thrilled Ann will be leading this vital work for all RCS students and staff going forward.
Mr. Weaver, did you have a question?
I was just going to ask, Mr. Murphy, have you looked into the results in the private industry around DEI recently? Because there's many studies or surveys out there that actually in the private sector that companies are going away from it. I believe multiple districts, even locally, have gone away from it. So the trend actually supports that this divisive ideology that is under DEI is something that companies are moving away from and school districts are moving away from. Have you done any research into that? Because I know you just made the statement, obviously, that it's pushed in the private industry, but it appears the trend is going the opposite direction.
I mean, I've read articles, but I'm unaware of that trend.
I'll send it to you. Some of the studies and some, I'm sorry, I used the word studies, wrong word. Some of the surveys that are out there and some of the companies that are turning away from it.
Yeah.
Mrs.
To build on that, I've read the same thing about many companies moving away from it, and there are school districts too. Bloomfield and Birmingham actually no longer have DEI positions anymore. Some of these districts are realizing that it tends to lead to controversy and a diversion from educational activities, unfortunately, and in some cases has done more to exclude people than to include people, which is the main reason why I've been asking, how are we measuring that this position is supposed to be doing what it's set out to do, and do we have any data that's informing those decisions? So I guess another related question that I have we been measuring the trend in administrative salary increase over the last 5 years?
President Butel? I have a question about
Dr.
point of order. Is it
Yes.
the case that we each get to make 2 comments on an item and then we're done?
Well, questions are actually technically different
Unlimited?
than discussion.
That's
Okay, then
correct.
I would
According to Robert's
appreciate
rules,
if we could stay on topic.
question or brief statement is allowed. Administrative salary increase is related to this because this is an administrative position that is taking funds away from teachers in our district who are already, including people and equitably treating their students in classrooms. I firmly believe that. So I'd like to know, have we been
I
tracking
would say
that cost?
if this position's cost and/or purpose is not the will of the board, then it won't be approved this evening and it won't exist.
Mr. Murphy, the question is, have we been tracking administrative salary increases over the past 5 years?
I don't track that on a daily basis. It's not hard to get information, though. If you want information related to the salary of central office administrators, it's public information.
Okay, well,
So I'm going to follow up with the question because the comment's been made by a couple of trustees. They keep saying specific issues, like there's some kind of specific issue. So I think that goes back again to the question, and I actually appreciate when they interviewed, they said they want to eliminate this position. Okay, how do we tangibly measure? When will we know that happens? So can someone articulate what the specific issue is that we're addressing with this problem so we can measure it and then realize when we've actually made progress? Can anyone articulate it?
If I may, Trustee Weaver, I would just like to share in terms of the vision for this position, which has evolved with two other candidates that we've utilized, Mrs. Robin Carter and Mrs. Tiffany Galladay. And over the past 7 years, the work has evolved. And I understand the nurturing of our teachers. I don't underestimate any of that. This work really stemmed from our work as we were moving forward with our strategic plan during the pandemic time and lifting student voices. This role, especially as we have designed it and interviewed, has been to proactively do professional development with our teachers in how we respond to students and the dynamics in their world. It's also been some tremendous training on restorative practices, moving away from disciplinary issues and not resolving these types of problems. So this role that's evolving and that we're bringing forward to you tonight for your review is ongoing learning and training of our staff members, support to our administrators, which has been a big ask that they find very helpful when they have complex situations and they're concerned about the well-being of their students and their mental health needs. And also, one of the outcomes is the community partnerships, the community groups where student voices can be lifted, along with our parent groups that are meeting, that are searching for opportunities to bring our community together. So it's not to look for a specific problem. It's looking to grow citizens, to grow children, to be the best versions of themselves.
Is that not what we ask our teachers to do already? I'm just really confused. It sounds like these are things that we ask our teachers to do, and we're saying without this revolutionary new DEI position, they aren't able to do that. So again, so you're saying they are going to be now in charge, DEI department is now going to be in charge of teacher development?
DEI work has been in partner with teacher development for as long as we've had the position. Mrs. Carter worked with the community and with staff, and Mrs. Galladay, their book studies, their book clubs, their online chats. They are student groups, multiple student groups coming forward, having a safe place to have these conversations, to receive resources. And I think that's another piece that maybe I should emphasize, is that helping children find their voice and helping to connect with the resources that are available to them. With the ultimate goal is meeting the need of our students. And again, an outshoot of this is the high suicide rates that we have seen. We feel an obligation to ensure that we're providing resources and support so that our students are safe, valued, and respected.
Ms. Fragmenti, are you making the
Madam
claim that the DEI?
President,
I'm going to address
I call
this.
for the
I'm
question.
going to address this one specifically.
Mr.
Are you
Weaver.
making the claim?
Mr. Weaver.
Are you making the
Mr.
claim that
Weaver.
the DEI position is going to reduce
Mr.
suicide
Weaver.
rate? That they're going to be held accountable for that?
Mr.
That
Weaver.
seems like a
No one
gross
made that claim.
misstatement.
That's a gross
You just threw that
misstatement.
out there.
Trustee
that they are
Gupta,
somehow the
I
suicide
call the
rate
question, Madam
is going to
President.
be obtained to the DEI position. That is
Okay, I
absolutely
have- Madam
disgusting.
President, I call the question.
I have there was a motion by Mrs. Gupta to call the previous question, and that was supported by, let me write this down, by Mrs. Annis. All of those in favor in calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's a 7-0 vote. At this point, is there a public comment on this? Mrs. Manhire?
Michelle Manhire, parent in the district. I want to address this issue of this position specifically. This is very I can't see you guys. It's very disheartening to hear that there are no goals for this person to meet. Trustee Weaver's point that he just made is completely the whole point. $124,000 that was paid to the last person is a heck of a lot of money for reassurance, for a nebulous kind of goal list, right? It's all about feelings. It's all about making sure. It's interesting to me, and I would like it noted, that a current counselor in the district is coming into this position. How is she qualified for that? the district obviously has a grip on the DEI situation. This has been, you've stated yourselves, 7 years, I think it was. There's a time that needs to come to, this position needs to come to its fruition. It has been proven ineffective in businesses across the country. There's more than one survey, there's more than one study. It's very apparent. Its time has come. It's time to move on. We are hiring a person to fill a position, therefore proven to be unnecessary to the outcomes for our children academically. It's just superfluous at this point, especially because we have Ms. Lewis, who is over that. This is like another person doing that same job. Mrs. Lewis should be able to provide the complete, this is why I don't talk extemporaneously, because I can't think fast enough, the teacher training and things like that. This director's salary of, actually, it was $123,000, $745, could be used in many, many effective ways in this district. And I would like to offer that we know that a forensic audit actually can run anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000, depending upon the scope of what it gets, investigated, et cetera. And yet it's constantly brought up that we don't have the money for that's kind of our go-to, like, that would cost a lot of money. Well, you know what? That's what that salary could go for, instead of hiring this person that
30
does
seconds.
not do a actual purpose in this district, school district, academically. How about showing the district good faith in our transparency and prioritizing what money should be spent on versus what just makes us look good to somebody, not everybody, but somebody. Thank you.
Hi, Becky Burek, resident. I just think that being new to these meetings, this is somewhat controversial, it appears. And having metrics, I think, is really important. Everyone else has them in the world. And I just really, it's a matter of trust, that you would trust somebody to come in without metrics to do what the community wants them to do. And I'm not saying this is not an important role, and maybe it's worth the money, but how do you tell if you have no metrics? Metrics I've had to live with my whole career. Saving money, being on time, whatever, there should be a metric for this position so that the public trusts you and that person to do what the job description says they're going to do, not what they decide to do or what some other random person in your administration decides they should do. And I think that's where I come from. I want to trust you, but I don't know. There's no metric.
Thank you.